For 10 long years, Serena Hawthorne's life looked like something out of a magazine, a fairy tale marriage to a super successful CEO. But the truth, it was all a lie, a carefully constructed deception, and it was about to detonate in the most public way you can possibly imagine.
Can you even imagine hearing those words from your own husband in a ballroom packed with your city's most powerful people? Well, for Serena, that was the exact moment her world just shattered. Her husband, Marcus, had her physically removed from his own mother's anniversary party and literally locked inside the family car.
Because what Marcus didn't realize, in that moment of pure arrogance, was that he completely, totally miscalculated. He had no idea about the secret that was about to be dropped in his wife's lap, a secret that would give her the power to absolutely destroy him. So let's break down exactly how this one single act of cruelty led to his complete and utter downfall.
Okay, so to really get the ending, you have to understand what happened at that party. This is where the real power dynamic of this marriage was put on this brutal, horrifying display for everyone to see.
So picture the scene. Serena shows up in a simple dress, one she actually sewed herself. She's completely surrounded by designer gowns and glittering diamonds. And her husband Marcus and his mother Patricia, they make it painfully clear that she's an embarrassment to them, like some poor relative they're just forced to put up with.
And then comes the flashpoint. Patricia, the mother-in-law, deliberately bumps into Serena, making her spill a glass of champagne. But does Marcus defend his wife? Nope. He just explodes. All of his rage is focused on how this tiny little accident ruins his perfect public image.
In front of hundreds of guests, the entire ballroom goes silent as he drags her across the floor and hands her off to his security team. And they don't just, escort her out. They shove her into the back of the sedan and lock the doors. It was the ultimate power move, designed to humiliate her completely.
But this is where the entire story flips on its head. That locked car, which was supposed to be her prison cell, is about to become her war room. And the silent family driver, he's about to become her most important ally.
So as Serena is in the back seat just completely breaking down, the family's quiet, elderly driver, a man named Mr. James, turns around. But he doesn't offer pity. He calmly tells her to stop crying because the truth is about to set her free. And then he just drops bomb after bomb. First, her own father had set up the company for Marcus to run as a decade-long character test. Second, that 10-year management contract, it had just expired, like that night. Third, she, Serena, is the sole legal owner of the entire company. And fourth, the divorce papers were already drawn up. Marcus was planning to serve them to her the very next day and throw her out with nothing.
Now, the timing here is absolutely crucial. This wasn't just some random outburst of cruelty. This was calculated. Marcus waited until the exact moment his contractual obligation to her was over to show his true colors. He thought that with the contract finished, he was finally free, and the company was his. And that was a fatal assumption.
So this revelation becomes the catalyst for Serena's immediate and incredibly powerful counterattack. I mean, this isn't a story about slow, simmering revenge. No, this is a full-blown corporate takeover that happens in a matter of minutes.
With this knowledge, something inside Serena just snaps. The tears are gone, replaced by this icy calm. She tells Mr. James to unlock the car, and she walks straight back into that ballroom, right past the guards who are just stunned, making a beeline for her husband.
And she doesn't confront him privately. Oh no, she walks right up on stage, takes the microphone from the band leader, and makes an announcement that brings the entire party to a dead stop. She declares her true identity, not as his wife, but as his boss.
So what's her first act as owner? She shuts the party down, right then and there. She announces to everyone that Marcus, who is now officially unemployed, paid for this whole lavish affair with company money that he no longer has any right to.
But this next part? Oh, this is a master stroke. She reveals that Marcus hadn't even paid the catering staff in 3 months. Then she pulls out this thick envelope full of cash and pays them all right there on the spot, their full wages plus a bonus. I mean, it's brilliant. In one move, she shows she's a competent leader, she wins the absolute loyalty of the staff, and she exposes Marcus as a total fraud in front of the entire city elite. It was a social execution.
But that public takedown, that was just the opening act. For Marcus and his mother, the fallout was going to be swift, total, and absolutely devastating.
The very next day, his whole world just unravels. His office pass doesn't work,
His fancy car gets remotely shut down while he's at a gas station. His corporate cards are all declined. Even that expensive Swiss watch he was always flaunting, turns out it's a cheap fake. And to top it all off, his mistress steals his emergency cash and vanishes. His entire identity was just a house of cards, and it all came down at once.
But then, Serena uncovers the truly monstrous betrayals. The original marriage contract, proving it was only ever about the business. Stolen letters from her father that his mother had intercepted to keep her isolated and alone. And then, the most evil thing of all. For 5 years, Marcus had been paying her fertility doctor to secretly give her birth control. This wasn't just about money. It was about systematically destroying her spirit and any hope she had for a family.
So in a desperate move, Marcus and Patricia call a press conference to try and paint Serena as the villain. But Patricia, seeing that her son is a sinking ship, she chooses to save herself. On live television, she completely turns on him. She accuses him of forging her signature on a massive loan, a felony, just to save her own skin. It's like watching two spiders in a jar turn on each other.
With all of his allies gone and his reputation just in tatters, the stage is set for one last confrontation, and this time Serena holds all the cards.
Serena finds him and lays out 2 options. Option A, he can face the music for his crimes. We're talking forgery, fraud, grand larceny, and probably spend about 15 years in federal prison. Or, option B, he can sign an employment contract for a junior-level position at the company's most remote, most punishing facility way up in Alaska.
And his response says it all. Stripped of all his pride, absolutely terrified of going to prison, all he can get out is a single hoarse word. It is the sound of complete and total surrender. He chooses exile. But he can't even handle that. He gets fired from the Alaska job for being incompetent and ends up working for the city, chipping ice off sidewalks. And his mother? She ends up in a tiny studio apartment, completely dependent on the mercy of the very same daughter-in-law she tormented for a decade. So, in the end, Serena reclaimed her company, her power, and her life. She left her tormentors broken, but not behind bars. And that brings up a really fascinating question, doesn't it? When you have the power to utterly crush someone who wronged you, what's the right thing to do? Was what she did justice, or was it a colder, more calculated kind of vengeance? What would you have done?